All right, let's see what the headlines are across Nigerian newspapers now. We begin with Nigerian News Direct. Let's start from there and say it's focusing on the APC leadership crisis. That's what the Nigerian News Direct, that's how they put it. Ganduje's emergence as APC national chair sparks reaction. Okay, Ganduje's emergence as APC national chairman sparks reaction. That's what the News Direct is saying there. And National Legal Advisor El Mazouk resigns. Ex-Senate spokesman ratified as National Secretary. Don't fall asleep. Promote unity, peace, love. Tinubu charges party leaders. Okay, that's what the News Direct has. Let's go to Voice of Liberty. Voice of Liberty says, I'll hit the ground running as new APC chairman. Ganduje is quoted as saying this. I'll hit the ground running as new APC chairman. Ganduje. All right, that's the Voice of Liberty. Let's go to the Nation newspaper. The Nation newspaper says, Ganduje pledges reform, fairness to reposition APC. Ganduje pledges reform, fairness to reposition APC. That's what the Nation newspaper has. Okay, and from there, let's go to the Leadership newspaper. And now the Leadership newspaper breaks down Tinubu's ministers in graphic map. Okay, excuse me. All right, if you look at the Leadership newspaper, it's trying to give, excuse me, it's trying to give a breakdown by geopolitical zones and states, the 47 ministerial nominees. We're still on Leadership newspaper. We're still on Leadership newspaper. See, it has, from the breakdown there, it shows 26 politicians and 21 technocrats. On the gender, it say it has 38 male and 9 female. And then for age, it said the youngest of the ministers is 36 years and the oldest is 64 years. And you see the breakdown there based on geopolitical zones. 10 ministerial nominees from the Northwest and the 8 from the Northeast, 8 from North Central, 9 from the Southwest, and the 7 from the South, then 5 from the Southeast. All that breakdown is there on the front page of the Leadership newspaper today. Now, from there, let's go to Daily Sun. Daily Sun newspaper. APC probes Adamu, others, as Ganduje emerges new chair. Ex-Kano governor vows to lead party with integrity, transparency, responsibility. Okay, all this you see on the front page of the Daily Sun. From there, let's go to Blueprint newspaper. As Ganduje Basiru take over APC, NEC appoints external auditor to probe Adamu's tenure. Right? And my leadership will promote internal democracy, reconciliation. Ex-Kano governor is saying this. You must redirect ruling party to fulfill our dreams. Tinubu charges NEC. All that you see on the front page of the Blueprint newspaper. Kemi.
The Punch is next, and it is leading with a latest on the subsidy protests which occurred earlier in the week. It says the federal government and labor talks collapse as NLC begins strike on August the 14th. This is said to be contained in the latest press statement released by the NLC. Subsidy protests there, FG labor talks collapse as NLC threatens to go on strike on August the 14th. Let's check out The Guardian. Guardian says Nigeria's political dynasties wax stronger as poverty deepens. The political dynasties, it says, wax stronger as poverty deepens. The full story is on The Guardian. Business Day says Tinubu's record cabinet in 24 years ignores costs. Earlier, of course, we've been tracking the ministerial lists of the president. Business Day says this 47 number of nominees, the highest in 24 years in Nigeria's history so far. On Daily Independent is, again, Tinubu says 2023 polls remain most credible in Nigeria. Dispatches of former President Abdul Salami and the Sultan to Niamey over Niger coup. Dispatches Nigeria's former leader, General Abdulsalami, and the Sultan to Niamey over the coup situation in the Republic of Niger. On the Daily Trust, it says, "Do not invade Niger," prominent Nigerians tell Tinubu. Ask ECOWAS to consider diplomacy and sanctions. Fear in the north over mass influx of refugees. And there's a statement, attributed to the defense headquarters in Nigeria saying a military action is the last option. That's all on the Daily Trust. This Nigeria says criminals take over Second Niger Bridge as drivers lament. We discussed that earlier on the show this morning. Criminals taking over the Second Niger Bridge and drivers lamenting and calling for presence of security operatives there to illuminate the area. And finally, is the Nature News. Waste speakers demand government support. Medical assistance for improved safety and well-being. I take that again. Waste speakers demand government support and medical assistance for their improved safety and well-being. That's it from my end, Mike.
Okay. Now let's look at the emergence of Abdullahi Ganduje as the substantive chairman of the APC. Of course, that's what everyone's talking about. If you go on social media, you see a lot of buzz around it. And then all the papers, or most of the papers today, have that story as well. Now, recall that at the beginning of things, Nigerians were looking at the balance of the shape of what cabinet will look like, the shape of what leadership of the National Assembly will look like, and part of it too was the issue of what were the balance in the leadership of the APC as a party. And part of what was considered at the time was that the national chairman of the APC at that time, Fola-Adeyemo, was already from the North Central. So when the National Assembly slot leadership were being distributed one way or the other, it was said that, well, APC already has, the North Central already had the national chairman, so they should relax if they don't have the slot for the national, any slot for National Assembly leadership. Recall that the Senate president went to the South, and then the Deputy Senate president went to the Northwest. And then we had the Speaker of the House of Rep went to the Northwest, and then the Deputy Speaker went to the the Southeast.
Southeast.
Right, because we already had the president from the Southwest, and then the Vice President from the Northeast. You know, all of that. So in all of that mix, one of the issues that the North Central was reminded, the members from the North Central or politicians from there, was that you have the national chairman, so you should relax. And in the coming appointments, of course, there were the issues of the SGF was going to go to North Central, so North Central should relax. And we saw all that resolution, they resolved and then they relaxed.
They moved on.
And then they moved on. But with this now, a lot of persons expected that the national chairman being in the North Central would have remained in the North Central. There was the issue of former governor of Nasarawa State, Makura, because he contested in the last chairmanship. So, but moving in now, of course, the elders of the party maybe must have seen something, in moving the party forward. But politicians, especially from the North Central and other parts of the country, are concerned about the mix or the alteration in the sharing based on the geopolitical zones.
That's part of the burden that former governor of Kano State, Abdullahi Ganduje, inherits. And of course, he's not new to leadership. He governed for 8 years, the very, big state of Kano, and big in many dimensions, politically.
And he was even deputy governor for that.
So he's not new. He's not new to controversies, and it really remains to be seen how APC, the ruling party, will be able to navigate these times, because even before he emerged in the meeting of yesterday, and the NEC meeting of yesterday, even before he emerged, there were rumbles, within the party, and looking at, the reactions that have trailed his emergence, as well as that of Ajibola Basiru, who is now the National Secretary, it appears that, there is still some work to be done, but the APC has also had its own fair share of controversies, and they have been able to navigate around them. You recall when Adams Oshiomhole, was the national chairman, the wars, internal wars that he had to fight, how the APC was able to remain intact, rather than implode. So this is going to be yet another test, on the capacity of the ruling party to be able to, be able to, prevent any issues, any further controversy from escalating. And in his speech, we've seen him, speaking to that, and the president has also, put that in his own mandate to the new leadership, the need to bring in more reforms. Of course, there's also the need to have a listening ear. It's still not over yet. This is still the beginning of a new administration, and there will still be other, appointments, hopefully, and maybe that will also give them another chance for even distribution of, appointments within the party and even, on the federal level. So it remains to be seen, but it's a promising start, so to speak, for the party. It's a new beginning for them, even though there's been so many controversial resignations, the latest of which was the National Legal Advisor, who also left. And from what we know now, the action will now move to the NWC now to find a way to fill the vacant positions. Of course, there's a woman leader too, who is now a ministerial nominee. There are a host of,
the
positions.
The acting chairman,
the chairman, the deputy chairman too, for the north. There are so many positions that, remain to be filled. And the onus is now on the Ganduje-led leadership to be able to navigate, all these controversies and make the party emerge stronger, at the end.
All right. Now, he has pledged to reform some areas of the party. He has also talked about the issue of being fair to everyone. And, well, he is the chairman now, so except if there are other issues that members of the National Working Committee or members of the party are not comfortable with, but he is now the chairman, so they have to move forward. His body language, his openness, his transparency, and some of the things that Fola-Adeyemo was accused of, because he has been in the party and he would have known. Part of the things that members of the National Working Committee were not happy. First, one of the first complaints they had was the issue of Fola-Adeyemo, the former chairman, running the party as a one-man, they said one-man show. He was just running the party according to the allegations that they brought forward. And then there were the issues of financial this and financial that and all of that. So we hope that the new chairman of APC will be able to look into those and then try to be fair and try to be open, carrying all members of the National Working Committee along. And one other task ahead of him that he's going to look at right now is the governorship elections coming up later in the year.
Right.
We have the Imo State governorship election. We have Bayelsa State. We have Kogi State coming up. And he has said that he's going to win them. Of course, an average politician will always be very optimistic about things. But however, do they have the capacity to do that? Of course, why not? But ultimately, the voters in the states are the ones who decide. So the work to be done now will be the campaigns, the intense campaign that they will have to try to strategize and map out as the case may be. So we look forward to how the new leadership of APC would work hand in hand and ensure that everyone is carried along.
He's also spoken about, and his supporters have also, given it to him that he's a strong party man. He's loyal, and we saw his prominence during the
last campaign,
the intense campaign, and give it to the Tinubu campaign, presidential campaign. It was vigorous, it was intense, it spanned across the federation, and Alhaji Ganduje's face was prominent, through it all, and so it has also, more or less beefed up his credentials and given the assurance that he will be able to weather the storms before the party. Because if we look at all the controversies that you accurately reeled out, where you recall during the intense political campaign season, the allegations that were leveled against the former chairman. We saw how how all that happened. If you look at that, it's also going to be, like I said earlier on, it's going to be a strong test, on the APC. The APC just really has to ensure that all is well within the party, and there has to be engagement. Even the rancor now at National Assembly, at the time of them bringing up leaders, at the 10th National Assembly, there was the allegation that there was not enough sufficient engagement between the party and people from within the party who were contending for the key positions. And somehow the dust settled, and then there were offices being allotted, and then people moved on basically. But at the crux of it all is the issue of engagement. The leaders have to have been called upon to engage more, to have a listening ear, for grievances, and find a mature way to hear everybody out and, calm frayed nerves. Because yes, there's a lot at stake for the party. Elections, off-season and on-season, there is so much at stake. The opposition is also not keeping quiet, as we see the PDP has already had a thing or two to say about the Ganduje's, emergence. So people are watching, and the country is watching, and it's a test for the APC must, weather.
All right. We wait to see how everything, and we wish everyone well.